Hi, I'm going to present or talk about the beginning of life on Earth. That includes everything from the moment or like from the beginning Earth appeared to up until the Cambrian explosion. Since everything after the Cambrian is more clear of a picture, we know what's happening after the Cambrian. However, everything before the Cambrian is more mysterious. Now, um, this just still has to do with like my worldview and stuff, so it's not a completely um like alien topic on this channel. I made it mainly to talk about the way I see things and so on. So, and this is a big part of like my day-to-day thoughts. Now, the way life came to be is a process called abiogenesis, which is a natural process by which life arises from non-living matter through chemical processes. Now, that life that appears through these chemical processes is very simple life. I'm not an expert in the field by any means, so I may stutter and so on. But that's the oversimplified answer. Now, thing is, Earth came to be around 4.5 billion years ago, 4.5. So, and the Cambrian explosion was only like 550 million years ago. So that's a big gap. And what makes it even more weird is that the first simple life forms on Earth came to be only about um, like a billion years after Earth appeared. So, or less than that, more like half a billion years ago. So basically, from the start of life on Earth up until the Cambrian explosion, there's like 3 or 4 billion years. However, from the beginning of Earth up until simple life, there's only like half a billion years. Now, I'm gonna present a simplified timeline. 4.5 years ago, Earth forms. 4 billion years ago, about simple organic molecules appear. 3.5 billion years ago, the first self-replicating life appears. 2 billion years ago, more complex life cells. Along with Luca, which is the it stands for the last universal common ancestor. Everything that you see on Earth today, from plants to insects to yourself to your pets, everything comes from that last universal common ancestor, abbreviated Luca, which also happens to be the name of one of my closest friends IRL. Now, those more complex life forms include like microbes and eukaryotes and stuff like that. I did read that off my script. I'm mainly trying to keep this natural, but sometimes I do have to look at my script because I forget a lot of like big words that I didn't know about up until researching more for this video. I did have a general idea and I didn't know most of the stuff. However, I did not know certain words. Now, 600 to 800 million years ago, the first multicellular animals appear, which is a big thing. Now, 500 million years ago, the Cambrian explosion happens when we actually see animals that more resemble what we could see today, such as trilobites and Anomalocarids, mainly like more crustacean type of life forms, and also stuff like shells and sea cucumbers types, like mollusks, I believe they're called. That sort of thing, like stuff that that if you saw today in the ocean or like in the depths of the sea, like you could imagine more. I'm dragging it too much. The point is, it's like more modern life forms. Um, yeah. Now that's about it. That's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Make this short little timeline and explain how life came to be on Earth. It's all about um, chemical processes, and from those chemical processes, you got like simple life, and then um, multicellular life, and then modern life. Now, what we don't really know is how these things really clicked in. We don't know the exact sequence of events that turned, the like non-living chemistry into the first self-replicating like life forms. That's the real mystery, and it's essentially impossible to replicate in the lab, such as the other things. The other things could have been replicated in the lab. Um, but yeah, that's the big mystery. However, there's hypotheses about it, and like we have some pretty good ideas. I didn't note them down, so I can't really talk about them, but you can look them up. Yeah, this whole fucking video was just about me talking about these. About it's stupid. I mean, I'm making this simply just to justify my nihilist worldview that I'm just feeling stuck in. Anyway, I'm gonna add some pretty pictures of the Earth back in the Cambrian, and even though it's not too accurate, I'm gonna add some Devonian ones as well because I like the Devonian. Okay, that's about it.